In this video I look at the Azyrite Ruins. Hello, this is Craig from bitsbox.co.uk. In this video I look at the Azyrite Ruins and I see if I can make some larger ruins by combining a couple of boxes of them. I also look at them, we'll review them a little bit, and yeah, there's not much else to say. Let's just get straight into it. Okay, so as you can see here, I have two boxes of the Azyrite Ruins. These are recently released by GW for Age of Sigmar. I've already pre-cut the stuff off the sprues in both boxes, just because it would take a little while to get all this stuff cut off. It's a thicker plastic than what we're used to with obviously the model kits, as it's terrain, so it takes a little bit more effort to cut off. Now I haven't filed down all the ledges and stuff like that. I'll do that once they're assembled. But yeah, let's just get one box out and everything that comes in it. As you can see, that's a lot. I think for £17.50, this is a really good kit. Really good value for money, especially when you compare it to other GW stuff. So as you can see, there's a lot here and you can build them how you want. So the corner have these bits on, and they essentially just clip together like so, which is pretty nice. Downside to this though, I'd like them to have been a bit more universal, so you can't, for example, put these two bits together as they are identical pieces here, so they won't go in. And as I plan to do later in the video, I'll chop out some of these to have some extra long pieces. So essentially you're sort of limited without a bit of chopping to just having these little tiny corner pieces like so. One thing I want to look into is doing extra levels. So for example, we could place one bit on top of another, and obviously we'd have to add some bits to them. But they fit on top of each other quite well. You are a bit limited on what you can do with them, but we're going to use these two boxes to see what we can come up with. So let's get all the stuff out of this box. I haven't got the little chests and accessories cut out from this box, but we're not going to use them. I mean, they're really nice though, they'll come in two pieces. These really nice sort of treasure chests. They are really nice indeed. But we're not going to use them, we're going to just worry about the terrain in this video. So let's grab all the larger pieces, get them together. All the smaller pieces to one side. Okay, so there's a fair bit. There is a fair bit here. And this is two boxes. I actually bought three, but one box I will use just as it is. Also, there is a different sprue of these if you buy the big Battlefield box, which I wasn't aware of, otherwise I would have picked one up. I thought these were just exactly the same, but there is an extra sprue in there where you get a longer bit of wall, and that would probably come in quite handy for what I want to do with these, but alas, I'll make do with what we've got. So the first thing I want to do is make a long piece of wall, and we'll start with this bit, and maybe we'll use that. So again, as I said, you want to chop these bits away. I've got to cut these bits out of the frame there, and that'll give us 3 columns worth. I'm sort of counting columns, and then we could get another one and pop it on top like so. And that's exactly what we're going to do with this first piece. In order to do that, you need to cut away these little pegs here. I call them pegs, I don't know what they are. I'm just using my clippers. It's going to take a little bit of effort. And they fly around the room. We'll be finding them later on. Watch your eyes if you're doing it like this. They might ping about. Could always hold it away from you like a normal person and it won't flick towards you. Not saying that that bit was anywhere near me, but you never know. So, yeah, I'm not going to let you guys just sit here and watch me clip all these out because it'll just take forever. So I'll be back when it's done. Okay, so these bits have largely been cut off now. I haven't filed them down perfect because you don't really need to. But as you can see, these bits will now go together really well. And you'll find they'll stand up fine. That's a bit of a rubbish angle for that, but yeah, they should stand up alright, quite straight. I'm now just going to put some glue just along these edges here. And because they'll stand up by themselves, it's quite easy just to leave them like that whilst the glue sets, and you can just make sure they're perfectly lined up, which they look like they are, so that's good. So next up will be to put a piece on top, like so. Now a good thing about these as well is you can have them any way around you wish. I'm actually thinking this way might be better. So like that. Let's move it back so you guys can see what's going on. So it would look something like that. Pretty cool. Now of course we've got this bit here which needs a bit of pillar, so we're going to take one of these corner pieces which just slot in like so. They're quite a tight fit, but they do go in. I'll try to knock that. Now of course putting it on like that might look a little bit silly because we don't want this bit sort of floating up in mid-air. You can see from this angle it's not what you want. I'm not a massive fan of this because obviously these are like corner pieces, so you haven't really got the corner piece under it. So you could be like really pedantic and just not have that like that. You might not like that. You may wish to. It's hard to say really. If there are other pieces, what would go on to it? You could get a larger piece maybe and then just chop away at it, but that seems like a bit of a waste. Nevertheless, that will go on there. And what I will do is obviously chop away this little bit here, and maybe even just chop all the way down there. Now we'll see how easy that's to do. That bit will come off no problem when it comes to doing the other piece. I mean, you may wish to keep it on, so there's knocking stuff on the floor. And yeah, it's really up to you. Now another thing is that this bit is slightly ruined there, so you might not like that like that. You might want to just add some green stuff. We've got a gap here where there's a brick missing. Again, you might want to just fill it with millipede green stuff, or just leave it ruined as it is. I may knock away some of the bottom of this arch here to make it look like that's been like destroyed, and that could be why we've got a missing brick there. Because we've got these little bits of ruins here, you don't have to have them between the archways either. I may get rid of that as well, certainly the larger piece, so I'll cut away from the archway. Now let's get rid of all of it. Let's chop down there. Obviously this bit is sort of attached to the bit we do kind of want to keep. I'm thinking maybe a hobby saw on that. I haven't got my cutting mat on this desk, but should be okay. Just cut through that. I keep meaning to get the little GW hobby saw. It seems quite good. I need this big old thing all the time, but once you start getting through it, should be a case of just being able to snip the last bit. Oh, just throw it around. Yeah, so we could come in at an angle here, possibly. The clippers don't open up wide enough. If you've got larger clippers, then you'll have no trouble. I've got to try and get the blade back in. But eventually we should have this chopped off. This is a great video for you guys, I'm sure. And I'll just move it to a cutting desk, or the cutting mat, just for the last little bit. And there we go, that's chopped that little bit off. I might leave that little bit of ruin there. That's fine. And this little bit I'm going to keep as well. And that should just sit on there. Got to file away these little rubbish bits there, and that should hopefully let this sit on a lot nicer. Now I'm not too worried about this being like a corner piece here. We can always imagine like the lower part of the ruin is bigger than the upper bit, so you can have a bit on top coming out. It doesn't really matter. Most people aren't going to pick up on that, but if you were really pedantic, you could just chop down here. I'm still tempted to, but there's enough of me chopping and stuff like that on this video. Let's get gluing. So yeah, I'm just going to file these bottom bits down and then I'll glue it up. Okay, so just before I glue it up, I have noticed something that I would maybe call it a flaw in this. So you might notice we've got these three pillars, but when we look at them top on, they're not actually lined up. So on this piece of ruin here, it's sort of further back than it should be. I mean, this bit in the middle is perfectly lined up. I triple checked it, but just because these are two different pieces, they're not quite lined up. So maybe if you're doing this, you might want to do two identical pieces to get them perfectly lined up. It's really up to you. But you know, I want some variety. I don't really want to have two pieces identical next to each other. So yeah, be mindful of that. That's a bit of a shame. It's bad enough that it's already a bit ruined, but to not be lined up either is a bit of a shame indeed. But I'm going to persevere anyway. Even though I've filed this down, it still doesn't sit on there as dead flush as I would like. Now, I'm not sure why that is, because you run your fingers along top of it. I know you can see where the little things were, but certainly seem pretty smooth. And the gap seems bigger than them. But I don't know. I could fill it with green stuff or milliput if I'm really concerned about it, which I'm not, if I'm totally honest. Yeah, it's just a case of gluing it up on top, like so, and trying to line up a couple of pieces at least. We'll have a bit of overhang with one of the others, but that's fine. And voila! We have one double-heighted piece of ruin. Now you could go even higher if you want by adding another piece on top. We do have some little smaller pieces that could potentially go on, and I think I'm going to add one on top. So cut away everything in the middle on this piece, and we do need to add another corner piece to it. If I can find one. Now I have a feeling this will actually connect to a larger piece, which is a bit of a pain. So it might be a case of chopping away at something again, because we only want just this tiny little bit here. That's all we want. So I'll probably chop this down here, have a little pillar, chop out all this middle, and that'll sit on there quite nicely, I would think. I'll get rid of this little bit as well, and that'll give us a nice big tall ruin. So yeah, I'm going to chop them away and then I'll be back with them glued up. And here we have it. So it's an extra tall piece. Yeah, it looks a bit straight down this edge, but this came out pretty good, I think. And of course you could, something I might actually do next, possibly, could even chop off this little bit here and maybe have some ruins coming out this way. It's certainly a possibility. Give it that little bit more stability as well. I mean, you could even keep them as well, so yeah, I'd say maybe chop off this pillar here. Now, if these were a bit easier to chop off, I'd probably do a lot more of these, but I think it's going to be a hobby saw to run it down, try and get into any gaps that are there, and try and cut it off. So I'm going to try and do that on the cutting mat. And yeah, that can give us a little wall to add there. I'll just add a bit more stability to the piece. We have some little bits of ruins or whatnot on top. Okay, so here's a bit more of a close-up look at the piece. Now, the join there is very, very poor, really. I'm thinking of just sticking some milliput down there, fill in the gaps, and just give it a bit of strength. It's not really much to latch onto. It wasn't as straight as the cuts either. It's quite difficult to cut a bit off. Ideally, you should probably get rid of this sort of pillar, but I'd need something better than a hobby file and a saw and a knife to get rid of that. Or if not, I'll be here all day. I've added a little bit on top there, so we have an extra little pillar just there. It leans forward a little bit. I don't know why, but I actually don't mind that. These are ruins after all, so I think that works okay. And I decided to keep this little bit on top. It probably wouldn't sit there, but you know, you never know. It looks fine. Yeah. So I was going to do 2 ruins in this video, but it's dragging on quite long as it is. I may make the other one up off camera and then show you guys at the end, but I really just can't be bothered to do it right now, so I'll probably do it tomorrow and then stick it on the end of this video. Yeah, these are interesting to build. Bit more difficult than I thought they would be. Well, more time consuming. I wouldn't say difficult, but more time consuming. And yeah, GW missed a trick here, really. I think they could have made them a bit more modular. You know, if you could build them up like this really easily, people would buy several boxes and really make some large and awesome looking ruins, I'm sure. But as it is, it's a bit of effort, and they don't look brilliant. There's little things here where things don't line up. All the ruins, like a lot of the ruins, have the same sort of number of sort of pillars on them as well. So if you look at this bit, you've got 3 pillars, one's broken and one's a half a pillar for a join. Exactly the same with this bit. So when it comes to making them longer, you're sort of limited to your number. However, my next plan was to make one which is even longer, and that is to cut off this pillar here and then add this one here, obviously stick something to that, and have a really long bit going on like that. Again, it's just the effort of doing it. It's going to take a bit of time. Cutting these off isn't the easiest thing to do. There's not really any gap there for you to cut into, so you're going to take some of the wall with you. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm not going to do too much more on these. I'll probably make this extra large one, and then I'll probably just leave the rest of the ruins just how they're meant to be, because it is a bit of a faff. Obviously, you guys would have seen the one what GW done. Well, it's pretty cool. But yeah, there's a lot of work involved. But I'm sure it'll look good when it comes out. And of course, once we've got 5 at the top, we'll have 5 pillars. I think they'll go on like that. We'll be able to add some like that. And then maybe even add one on top of them. So, yeah, I think it's going to look good. But it's a lot of work. So I'm going to do all that off camera, and then in the next scene you will see hopefully a really lovely ruin, which will look a bit better than this one, I'm sure. Even though this one's not too bad. Once I paint it up, I'm sure it'll fine. And here we have the other large piece. So yeah, it's come out okay. Again, yeah, GW have missed a trick with this. It is not as modular as you'd like. Stupidly, I've left these bits on here. I probably should have chopped that one off. That one's not too bad. That one just looks a bit silly, overhanging. But, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm even going to use this piece. It's... yeah, as you can see, there's gaps. There's gaps in the brick here. Little gaps there. And where I had to chop the pillar off there, it's left a bit of a gap, but I can fill that. I did just leave this bit on at the back here, just to give it a little bit more support. I think without it probably would just topple over. Yeah, I am disappointed. I will give you that. It's a lot of work to get something like this, and then it doesn't look that great. I'll add some milliput here and there to cover some gaps. I will chop that bit off, even if it means pulling that apart. But like I say, I don't know if I'm going to use this or not. I don't know. I'm glad I bought a few boxes though, so I can have like a lot of the smaller ruins. I've made some of the other little ones up. This is how they're meant to be, just these tiny little bits. I mean, it's okay for just little bits to add to your board. But yeah, I'm really disappointed GW haven't made it easier to build bigger ones, so you can really have a good sort of centerpiece on your gaming table, rather than just these odd little scare bits of wall. It's a shame. Yeah, not much else to say. Let's get the two larger pieces together. They probably won't fit in shot, but here's the other one. I am sort of happier with this one, I suppose. There's still gaps to fill, and this bit's still a bit wobbly here, but yeah, not bad. But like I say, disappointed. It's a lot of effort. They don't really fit together on top of each other as you'd expect. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Please leave your comments down below if you've worked with these kits, and if you have any suggestions on what's an easier way to build them up, or I don't know, any other ideas that you have for them. I'd certainly love to hear them. But as you can see, my attempt is average at best. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't cut this bit off. That's really, really bugging me now. I guess it's the one on the other side's like that as well. Yeah, they just stick out. What an idiot. I think I was just very eager just to get them glued so I could just move on. I've had enough of them. I'm going to build the other box up as they're meant to be, and I'll probably use them more often than not. But I don't know. I'll get some milliput on these. I'll paint them up. Who knows? They might look acceptable. I mean, that's pretty solid. It's pretty solid now the glue's dry, I will give it that. But as you can see, there's just gaps. Doesn't really fit on straight. But yeah, I'm not going to stop rambling. I've done a lot of rambling in this video. It's probably quite a long video just for these ruins. Yeah, but please do leave your comment down below. And if you have enjoyed this video for whatever reason, then do give it a thumbs up. I hope it's been insightful for any of you guys who are thinking of doing this, and maybe I don't want to put you off, but I just at least you guys will be aware there's a bit of a challenge to doing it. But like I say, some of you guys might have better ways of doing it, and if you have, please let me know in the comments, or anything else you can do with these ruins. Please let me know in the comments, because I'd love to hear them. And yeah, I'll leave it as that. So yeah, like, subscribe, we have Patreon, all that jazz. Links down below. But thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.